Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray. Almighty God, you have given us this good land as our heritage. Grant that we remember your generosity and constantly do your will. Bless our land with honest industry, truthful education, and an honorable way of life. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil course of action. Grant that we who came from many nations with many different languages may become a united people. Support us in defending our liberties, and give those to whom we have entrusted the authority of government the spirit of wisdom, that there may be justice and peace in our land. When times are prosperous, may our hearts be thankful, and in troubled times, do not let our trust in you fail. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Roll call is taken. We had Supervisor Agamite, Supervisor Mastelier, and Supervisor Patricia asked to be excused. Supervisor Haskey, she has not asked to be, did she contact? Okay, well, perhaps she'll be in yet as we go. All right, so roll call taken. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Supervisor Kinnard made a motion, seconded by Supervisor Augustine. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? You may register your vote. (16) yes, none opposed, motion carries. Would look for a motion to approve the previous county board minutes. And I have a motion from Supervisor Swagel and a second from Supervisor Kroll. Is there any discussion on the minutes which you have reviewed? Seeing none, you may register your vote. 16 yes, none opposed. The motion carries. Citizens input. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak to the board this evening?
Yes. The board will hear concerns members of the public wish to raise, but will not discuss or take action on any matter until the matter can be placed on an agenda with proper notice to the public. The board welcomes citizens to present their concerns to the board in a professional manner relevant to issues affecting Kewaunee County. Each citizen may take 3 minutes to present their concern, and the board has allotted a total of 20 minutes for this portion of the meeting. Please be mindful the board may halt any disruptive comments and any comments that are threatening, vulgar, or abusive. Joseph Young.
Mr. Young, would you please step to the microphone there so that everyone can hear you?
Yes, I'm Joseph Young. I border the ATV park, and this has been an ongoing thing. I started back with Dave Rice, with the concerns of the erosion, and they're running up and down the ravines, and I can't see how it's being allowed, because you're supposed to set an example for everybody around you, and I don't see it. You have the farmers, they have to put cover crops and everything for erosion. The guy against my land does it. And I look across there and I see what's going on there, and I just can't watch it anymore. The thing is, I don't know, last week I was here, but I got here too late to have my comment. But anyway, I witnessed who's approving a $12,000 grant for the ATV park. I just was wondering, I know Milt, I brought the concerns to him. He's for West Kewaunee. The rest of you probably don't even know what's going on there. I sent pictures. I don't know if you got them. Okay, to you, Milt. I don't know what you think of that, but anyway, you passed that thing just like that. Boom. I'm thinking, do you even know what you voted on? It's $12,000. I don't know what you're using the money for, to maintain mud or I know they put rock in to fix some of that damage that I brought to the attention. They put a buffer zone along me. The trenches are still there from the old trail. And that's what's eroding out my land. And I checked, it's cost $300 a load for that big crushed rock. That's the only way you could fix it. I need about 20 loads, fill that hole in. And they put in, I don't know how many loads back there. I'm just wondering where they're getting the money from. Is it taxpayer dollars? Where's the money coming from? $12,000 wouldn't get you too far. And that ravine back there, they dumped, I don't know how many loads. Where did they get the equipment to put that in there? Is that the county's equipment? Can I use it? Are they gonna haul me rock? You know, I don't mind when somebody votes in something, maybe these guys don't research a little bit. You're giving money for supporting erosion. There's no doubt in my mind, that's all that is. You keep moving the trail, put up snow fence. It's all trenched out, it's too dangerous to ride. You move, they put orange snow fence here, they got the pictures. Then you start going up and down the ravines here. They're gonna run out of land sooner or later, so. You can't keep on moving it. And in the first place, I think you have to have that certified with the state. When you make a ATV park, the trails are specifically go here. Can't just keep on moving it. And then they take a bulldozer and they push up a bank so they can have fun riding on that by me. Well, they puddle up all the water. So that when you get these heavy rains, it puddles up and then runs down in the ravine. You didn't even plant that last field in the back there last year
Thank you, Mr. Young. That's
because of all the erosion.
that's the 3 minutes
Okay,
for
good enough.
future comments.
Do what you want with it.
Is there anyone else who wishes, no one else has signed up? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the board? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the board? Anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing none, we'll continue on to number 7 on the agenda, recognition on Rhonda Rummel's retirement. Administrator Felt, is there somebody that's going to?
Yes, we
Okay.
will have Chad LaLuzerne, who is the unit manager for
Alright.
the Children and Families Unit.
Thank you, everyone. I had the pleasure of being Rhonda's supervisor for 1 whole month prior to her retirement. Colleague for over 10 years. So any one of us that works in the unit be able to write this or say a little thank you for Rhonda. So Rhonda Rummel served Kewaunee County Human Services for 26 years in both the mental health and child welfare roles. The number of lives that she has touched is impossible to count. Her ability to stay the course in the face of tremendous adversity so that others could have a better, safer, more dignified life is unparalleled. Rhonda's career ended on a high note as she recently received the Department of Children and Families Wisconsin Caring for Kids Award. So this is a state award that we nominated her for. There were 7 participants that received this award from the state of Wisconsin, and Rhonda was one of the 7 nominees. So we went down to Madison early March here, and she's presented that award by the Secretary of State. So congratulations to Rhonda as you transition into retirement. Please know your dedication and level of service is so admired. Please accept the sincerest of wishes from all of us for a well-deserved and well-earned transition into retirement and happiness and peace. If you were to come up here and accept something from the board.
I'm very honored to accept this acknowledgement and was very thrilled to receive the Caring for Kids Award, which was a wonderful surprise. In the 26 years that I've worked for Kewaunee County, there's certainly been changes along the way, but one thing that's never changed is the dedicated and caring staff of Human Services. We are very fortunate in Kewaunee County to have our staff and our community partners through schools, law enforcement, therapists, private services that support kids and families, that make our community a safe and positive place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appointments, we have none. Annual reports as requested by the board, Kewaunee County Economic Development Corporation, if you would please head to the microphone.
Good evening. Thanks for having me again. So this is hard to believe we're almost through 1/4 of 2023. So it's moving fast. So I wanted to come in and give an update on kind of what we've been working on in the last few months, what we're looking at in the coming weeks and months ahead. So with that, please feel free to ask me any questions if you have any. So starting off, building off of our strategic planning efforts that we've done over the last year and a half, visiting over 90 businesses, 90 business retention and expansion visits. We're continuing on our strategic actions, taking the feedback that we got through the BRE initiatives and refining our strategic plan. So myself, along with our board of directors, invested some time earlier this year, kind of narrowing down where those top issues are. And we've kind of broken those into 2 different tiers. So tier 1 are kind of the most important issues that we've concluded on, with tier 2 being kind of secondary or phase 2 to that. So within tier 1, our number 1 priority is housing. Talent has been an overarching theme for a lot of our local businesses. And we've met with a lot of these businesses, and one solution that they want to see more effort behind is improved housing development within the county, so that we're attracting workforce, improving quality of life and those types of things. Housing is a very big, broad topic. So, based on the housing study that the county had done through Bay Lakes Planning and through the feedback through our BRE programs, we've kind of really concluded that we need life cycle housing in the county. So that's, starter homes, rental units, senior housing, and senior rental units as well. If you recall from the housing study that was done a couple of years ago, over 2/3 of our homes in the county are 50 years or older. So improvement in the quality of our homes. Those are all kind of foundational economic development issues. So that's our top priority. Second is broadband and technology, keeping up with that, which the county has been very proactive at pursuing. And number 3 is diversifying mid-sized businesses in the county. So getting there, a lot of this are very broad topics. So now what we're doing is refining down more strategy in how we're going to approach that. So where's the starting point with a lot of these? So, with housing, it's defining the needs, the requirements to address it, and developing options to address it. With the broadband, like I said, the county's very proactive with that. It's just maintaining awareness and serving as that liaison outside of the community. And then diversifying our mid-sized businesses is really going to come down to, do we want to do that internally, grow from within, or do we want to attract new business from outside, or do we want some kind of integrated version of that? So we're working through some of those different things right now to better define those. And our second tier of issues are education and schools, improved infrastructure, and then quality of life challenges, and becoming more of a destination for not only tourism, but also for businesses and residents in the long term. Coming up right now, actually tomorrow, I am spending the day entertaining Missy Hughes, who is the CEO of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, specifically around some of these capacity issues that we need to address these different items that I just talked about, but also specifically to get out in front of the redevelopment of the nuclear power plant site. Nothing has really transpired with that yet. They haven't really started the decommissioning yet on that process, but the projected timeline for that decommissioning is supposed to end in 2030. With the spent fuel rods supposed to be removed sometime around 2050. So there's a lot of the logistics, a lot of regulatory information that has to go into that. So we're starting to engage in those conversations at the state level on how we can facilitate that and be prepared for when that time comes. So we're not trying to figure this out in 8 years. On March 27th, we will be taking part in a meeting / webinar with Tammy Baldwin's office, specifically looking at funding opportunities to Wisconsin manufacturers, specific to the Inflation Reduction Act and how that will impact Wisconsin businesses and our manufacturers here. On March 30th, we are going to be holding the first of 4 quarterly roundtable events that we will have throughout the year, with the first one focusing on preparing for impact, specifically about the Viking cruise ships that are going to be visiting the county this year. So this year we're scheduled for 8 visits and another 8 in 2024. So the average boat load of passengers that roughly equates to about 3,200 people coming off of the boats into our communities. And what we have learned from other communities that have hosted cruises in the past will have equally as many individuals coming to view the ships as passengers getting off of them. So that roundtable event will really focus on how do we prepare for that from a business standpoint, so that our business owners aren't all of a sudden slammed and lose all of their inventory. How do they plan their supply chain so that they're ready for the next visit 2 weeks later? How that impacts local municipalities in terms of traffic and police response times and emergency services and those types of things. So that will be taking place at the Algoma Council Chambers on March 30th. And there will be a Zoom link for anybody that can't physically make it to that event. The other big event that we have coming up in April, actually we have 2 in April, is Ag Career Days. So that is a biannual event that we have not held since prior to COVID. And it introduces all 7th and 8th grade students from all Kewaunee districts, as well as Denmark and Southern Door schools, to the different career clusters that are involved in agriculture. So everything from animal science to plant science to the business side of it to the financials. We currently are expecting about 947 students to participate over 2 days. That will be on April 18th and 19th. And I have confirmation that the secretary for the Department of Workforce Development will be in attendance for that event. And we also have invitations to the governor, as well as Missy Hughes with the state EDC. So my understanding is that supporting and encouraging careers in agriculture is one of the governor's initiatives within his latest budget. So the timing of it comes very well. It's also our leading industry within the county. So why wouldn't we want to feature that as well? In addition, on April 19th, overlap, and 20th, we are participating in Kewaunee Legislative Days, which is a biannual event as well. And this, if you're not familiar with it, basically a contingent of leaders and students from both counties go to Madison, meet with all of our different legislators, and basically bend their ear on issues that are important to our area. Myself and Administrator Felt are part of the steering committee for that event. And the top 5 issues that we've identified this year are water quality, housing, childcare, commercial fishing, and repair of the Potawatomi Tower. When I say repair of the tower, that's not, they want to, there's funding there to repair it. But the holdup with it is the governor wants to make it accessible so that they'd have to put a big ramp on it. And that would cost, I think, $6 million was the price tag on that. So it's just to repair it, not change its configuration. With regard to housing, we are actually leading the position paper on that. There is a Senate bill that is recommending the increase in housing tax credits that can be available. And 35% of the tax credits within that bill are specified for rural housing development. So we are going to try and make the ask that that percentage is higher than what it is. So those are our issues. We are still looking for sponsors and volunteers to join that contingent. So if any of you are interested, please visit our website, talk to me afterward, talk to Administrator Felt, and we'll get you on the list of participants to join. Just other things that we are working on. We've recently hired a youth apprentice through the apprenticeship program. And she is a junior at Luxembourg Casco High School. She is going to be doing our weekly newsletter and some other social media and marketing efforts on our behalf. So our primary goal with that position is to try and get more of what we are doing out on a more regular basis. Awareness was a big topic that we had heard about over the last year as well. Our BREs are continuing. So we're still continuing to meet with businesses, making sure our strategic priorities are aligned. We have so far this year funneled one new business through the county's business development loan program. So they, I think, are actually on the agenda later tonight as one of the resolutions. Charter fishing operation out of Kewaunee. We've participated in the governor's economic conference back in February, specifically trying to address and brainstorm ideas around housing development. So again, trying to hit on that top priority. We are going to be hosting our annual meeting on May 10th, I believe at Portical. It will be a breakfast meeting. So that meeting, I usually do a presentation similar to this, but it's more of a year in review. We usually will have a guest speaker do a presentation as well, who is yet to be determined. So that is coming as well. And something that we are looking at for later this year, the EDC has basically been awarded a grant to be able to provide economic development training for local leadership. So we're looking at providing that so that it's geared more towards government officials, government leaders. So the county board or city councils or local government leaders. And we're looking at possibly holding that training in September. That is put through or put on by the state Economic Development Corporation, so that there'll be more updates on that as we move through the year. So with that, I think that's kind of what we've been up to here over the last few months. So does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Mr. Nelson? All right. Thank you. We
Thank
picked
you.
a good month to be on the agenda. So I appreciate the timing. Administrators report?
Thank you. And actually, the timing worked not too well because I was about to introduce the board to our new public information officer / tourism coordinator, Josh Visti. He took a couple photos and then he ran out the room. So the gentleman with the hat and making the photos, that's our new public information officer and tourism coordinator. He started on the 27th of February, is already getting stuff out on social media, and we'll be doing a number of videos and the like as well. But anytime you want to, just stop into the administrator's office and introduce yourself. Other than that, I have nothing else at this time, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. Under committee reports, I do want to go back to the administrator and ask on the bug tussle.
Correct.
I have had questions on this, and I, on the one hand, I mean, obviously, it appears from what I am hearing, it is a dispute between a subcontractor and a contractor that the county does business with. But obviously, there's, if it's getting to me, there's a certain amount, not that I'm the last person in the county to hear things, but I'm not the first. And so there's a certain amount of public interest. I would like, if you can give us any, since that was brought up last month, if you can give us any information on that, anything further. I would also have been asked about the I would like to clarify a bit the motion that was made by the board previously regarding bug tussle and not drawing on funds. And just want to make a further clarification on that, that those payments were delayed because the funds were not drawn.
Correct.
And so they were not turned over. So
I'll start with the last one first, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
That'd be great.
Certainly. The amendment that was done back in, gosh, was it September? It was late last year. And the amendment was requested in that Bug Tussle had not, there was a loan of $1.3 million. And at the time, they had not drawn all of their funds. And so from an administrative standpoint, the request was just to delay the start of payments for 1 month. But the amount of payments would be same, the interest would still be the same. So the thought from an administrative standpoint is not that they needed the extra time. It's just from an administrative standpoint, they had not pulled all of those funds out yet. They continue to make timely monthly payments. So from that standpoint, there is no issue with the county as to Bug Tussle and making their payments.
Before we move on to the next point,
Sure.
just to make sure that I get that I'm very clear on this, just so that the public is clear on this, those monies that were not drawn on, those are for specific projects as well. Those funds couldn't be just directed wherever. I mean, they have to be used, they were for particular projects.
From the contract with Bug Tussle, that the money that was being drawn from was for projects that are within the contract, which is therefore the installation of conduit and fiber within Kewaunee County. So
So that's
it couldn't
pretty
be
broad.
spent on something else.
Right, but that's pretty broad, so it could be used for any of those fiber projects that are ongoing.
Correct, because they are, well, within the contract. So within the contract, it was for 60 plus miles of fiber.
Okay, so I'm going to take you into the next area where you were going to go, doing this in reverse order. If it were needed, those funds could be used to pay any vendors that are owed.
That would, if
not that we're-
that's
could
what
go
Bug
into that.
Tussle wanted
If
to
they
do, they
chose.
could do so.
Okay,
So now as for the payments and following the inquiry by Supervisor Augustine, I did contact Bug Tussle regarding the outstanding payments that were being declared by the subcontractor H&H. I had conversations with Bug Tussle. They have provided me records that over the course of the project, they have made approximately $3.3 million worth of payments to H&H for work. There is some disputes as to what was overages in costs. And that is something that is between Bug Tussle and H&H. I don't want to necessarily get into too many specifics because again, that is not really our area, in that if H&H decides that they want to follow a legal course against Bug Tussle, they are able to do so. The one thing that I communicated very clearly is that I do not want any of the what would be considered dispute between a contractor and a subcontractor, that it would prevent Bug Tussle from honoring their contract, which is that they would have fiber in roughly by the end of 2023. They have assured me that will not be the case. They have already contracted with another subcontractor to do that work. In fact, they have done work with 5 other subcontractors for various projects throughout the state. And this is the only one that they have a dispute with. And so as for what all those disputes are, again, I am not privy to specifically all of those things going on. But from the county standpoint, they have assured me, and I and I have expressed very clearly that we expect them to honor their contract and have things done by the end of 23.
And I just want to clarify further. To this point, to my knowledge, all contracts, all markers that were set, all deadlines, we've had no issue, to my knowledge.
Correct, as well as there have been no issues regarding principal and interest payments to the loan funds that we have given to Bug Tussle. All payments have been made on time, and at least at this present time, to my knowledge, the projects continue to move forward as scheduled.
Okay, so all milestones have been met. Is there anything further? Yes, Supervisor Teske.
On the Highway Solid Waste Committee minutes, January 12th, on the last page of those minutes, in the middle there where they had a SMA, County C, County L, Clyde Hill Road. It was motioned by Joe Lukes to approve the SMA for County Trunk Highway KB Buck Creek Bridge replacement. I think that's from up above. So I think that motion needs to be clarified.
Supervisor Poppy? Can you give me what was the reference again? Help me get to the right page,
January
please.
12th minutes,
Okay,
the last page of those minutes. We had County
yeah,
Trunk.
give Supervisor Poppy a moment, please. He's trying to get there. We got all night. Well, I do. Could you restate your question again, Supervisor Teske? Now that he's on the right page?
Kind of in the middle of their motion by Joe Lukes to approve the SMA for County Trunk Highway KB Buck Creek. I think that's that's the motion that was made up above. So this one probably should say County Trunk Highway L, the Clyde Hill Road.
We can correct that.
You just have to
Okay.
change the wording there a little bit.
Okay, we can do that.
Sure. All right, Supervisor Poppy, you get that taken care of unless we've got it already. All right, thank you. Any other questions on Supervisor Lazansky?
Yes, I have a question. This would be for Cindy for public health. So on the meeting notes from their February 13th, there was an extension on the one COVID grant for $173,000 and to be used by the end of this year. So I'm wondering if if you have that designated for, you'll be able to use that up and just how. And I have another question then too after.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that. So that is our ELC grant. It is specific to epidemiology-based services for COVID. And we were able to carry over about $170,000. And that will go to continuing to pay the staff in our office that work towards COVID. So I have certain designated hours for our community health educator and our registered nurse. And then also a portion goes to our administrative assistant who does COVID work. It also pays for all of our contact tracers. So we still have 2 on staff that work for contact tracing. And then in addition, monies were put away that could be used towards IT services. So Ross and I have worked together over the last couple of years to do a lot of upgrades on different forms of IT throughout the county that we can cover through that grant.
Okay, well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's a big chunk of money. That's that, you want to get it used. So then my other question is, I noticed that then in the minutes from March 13th, there were 2 more deaths. And so I'd like to kind of get your take on COVID now, because what these deaths are, they like, older people that are health compromised, maybe not vaccinated. And also, I know a young man who's in his 20s, he was healthy, athletic, he had COVID 3 times and he just can't get back to normal. So kind of what's your take on where, where we'll end up. I think we're all just like kind of living with it, and I see that's
Yeah.
the way we're going.
Yep. So COVID continues in the community. We're averaging somewhere between 10 and 15 cases a week typically. And those are the cases that end up going into a medical facility for testing that we're notified on. So there's a fair amount of people that do the home tests. We do not get notified on the home tests necessarily. So the ones that I'm counting are the ones that go through healthcare practitioners or through hospitals. Specifically your question in the deaths, the 2 deaths that were within the last month were people who were older and had significant health issues. So both had been vaccinated as well, but they were fairly immunocompromised getting that. So the cases that we're seeing that end up in the hospital are quite sick. And I think, we're not going to see COVID go away. It obviously is here to stay. So we're going to continue to see those numbers. But the numbers that we're seeing right now are nowhere near where we were at a few years ago. And I think it's manageable, and the community is adjusting well to how to do that. They're not fighting us on understanding that you stay home for 5 days when you have it, that kind of thing. It just continues. We have seen vaccinations decrease though.
Okay. Any other question? Supervisor Teske, then
On the Ag and Extension minutes from February 8th, item number 4. It probably should say Supervisor Lozansky to approve the January 11th minutes, not February 8th.
okay. We'll make that. Do we know where we are?
They just met on the 8th of February. That should probably say January 11th.
Okay. Thank you. Supervisor Haskell?
Yeah, Melissa Anoy asked me to mention that they did an internal posting for the CCS Crisis Coordinator position, and that the Children Waiver position is posted externally, and they're hoping to get interviews done by the end of the month.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments on the minutes, the reports? All of the committee reports, Supervisor Yonke?
I figured you'd ask me here pretty soon.
Well, I was about to.
Okay. It looks like this year, it's the second best year for attendance at the Winter Park. There's over 13,600 tubers in between 600 and 700 on the ski hill. Waiting for the final numbers from the association yet, so.
Very good. And skiing was even going last weekend, I understand.
Yes,
So pretty remarkable. All of those that were a part of getting that all worked out and making everything go. I think, everybody really went the extra mile on that. And I appreciate Mr. Myers. He really went the extra mile, and Parks and Rec Committee, and also Winter Park Association. Everybody was able to come together and get things worked out in a positive manner for the citizens. So,
yeah.
you
The
know,
only,
oh, and I forgot Mr. Depot. He put in a lot of time too. I heard a sound over there. I'm sure he wasn't trying to draw attention to himself. This is the problem. This is the problem with, when you list people, you inevitably forget someone, and there were far too many people involved in that for me to remember everyone, but and far too many phone calls for me to remember all of them either, but people were really concerned, and I'm glad that we were able to get everything going in a good direction.
the only downfall this year was no ice skating.
Well, unless you
Work on
got
that next year.
unless you want to put in some equipment to freeze that ice somehow,
There you go.
the weather just didn't cooperate on that. Snow they can make and so forth, but yeah, really a good year up there. So, okay, any other questions on committee reports, minutes? All right, well, I just have to say, occasionally I'll have people comment to me, or say, gee, to those supervisors, they just pass things through, or they read through these things, they do their homework. They should watch. I mean, you guys went through these minutes more thoroughly than I could have ever imagined. All the questions here, and so very good. We'll move on then. First reading of ordinance, we have none. So we will move on to consideration of resolutions. I don't see Mr. Every here tonight. Oh, I'll be darned. Well, I guess we're ready for the resolution. We'll have to carry on without him. He must figure this one didn't require the big guy coming in, huh? Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
A resolution to purchase highway equipment, 2018 Toyota model 8FGU 32 LP powered forklift. Fiscal impact, 33,637 from highway internal funds.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Vollenweider. That's already seconded by Supervisor Romden. You got to be quick on the tapping on these tablets. Is there discussion? Supervisor Swaggle?
Thank you, Chairman. So what is the status of the lift or the forklift being replaced? It says it's old, but how many hours and what would it cost to repair it, maintain it? What are the costs?
Okay, it's a 1960 model.
Correct, that's what it
Correct,
says here.
okay, and the parts are almost nil to none. It was a military, it came from the military. So it was a surplus. I shouldn't say gift, but it came, I think it was $1 or whatever to acquire this machine back in, I'm gonna say late
We
seventies
could
maybe.
perhaps sell it for $2 now.
So it will go on the auction on Wisconsin's auction market.
Are you interested in purchasing Supervisor
No, sir.
Swaggle?
I don't want to buy the new one. I want to see.
I guess basically we use it for a lot of heavy lifting and everything is just wore out, so it's become not safe.
Okay, any other questions? Supervisor Teske?
Thank you.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Are all forklifts LP powered?
No.
No, some are diesel. I
Some are
believe there
electric.
may be diesel engines in them. This is run on LP gas. Because it's run inside. Majority of the time.
Okay.
Some are gas, I believe. I don't think there's many out there with gas anymore, but I'm sure someday it'll be electric. Who knows?
There are electric.
Okay, there you go.
You didn't know it, but I am an experienced forklift operator.
Very good.
Does it,
Back in my college days,
does it just run on an LP tank?
Correct.
they get the LP tank. Where do they go for the LP tanks for those? They must have a vendor somewhere in the,
Probably
Area.
lakes or someplace. I don't know.
but tanks go on the back and
Is that tank concealed or is it out in the open on the forklift?
I believe you
Typically
can
out
see
of
it
the-
in the picture.
no.
Yeah.
I don't see it on the Toyota here, but so that must be underneath.
Believe me, it's there. That's what it runs on.
Well, is there there must be closer LP than Luxembourg.
Yeah. Tractor
Okay.
Supply.
All right, other questions? All right. Then you may register your vote. 16 yes, 1 no. Motion carries. All right. Consideration of ordinance read at previous county board meeting. There are none. Communications, resolutions from other counties.
From Kenosha, Green Lake, Marathon, Trempealeau, and Crawford, a resolution to request the state of Wisconsin to revise the current real estate transfer fees revenue sharing formula. From Clark and Columbia counties, recommending revisions to state wind energy regulations. And from Green Lake, request the state of Wisconsin to use a portion of the 2023 budgetary surplus for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of county truck highway system.
All right. Thank you. Are there Kewaunee County events? Supervisor Kroll.
I have 2. There is a skin cancer screening going on Saturday, April 29th from 8:30 till noon at the Prevea Luxembourg Health Center. They're teaming up with the Kewaunee Health Department. And then I have another one. May 20th is a walk at the Brimmer Park And the health department is putting this on. And Cindy, maybe if you want to just talk a little more about it, because I think there's some involvement with the pheasant, correct? Some of the proceeds.
So May 20th, the Health Department and Parks and Promotion will be sponsoring a trail walk. And that trail walk is going to have a registration. Typically everything we do is free. But this one's going to have a registration on it. All proceeds that we do raise will go to the Bremer Park Inclusive Playground group. So that's the group that, if you remember, came in maybe a year and a half ago and presented to you about putting that playground in down at Bremer Park. So we're going to try to help raise some funds for that.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any others? Supervisor Lazansky.
So also on April 29th is the Spring Fling at Lake Haven Hall. Conscious Pilot plays. It is free. They're playing 7 to 11, doors open at 5, sponsored by the Alumni Fest. We're hoping that this is a year where we finally have kind of break even with our money for funding events that we'll be able to start giving back to the community. So we're already talking about that. So that'll be coming up.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Any others? All right, comments from the chair. Last month, we did have a motion come out of executive session. And just to give you an update, we have retained outside representation, as was approved and requested by the board. There is nothing more to report at this time. The next meeting dates, you have April 11th and May 16th are scheduled already. We would normally, if we followed our typical, we would go to June 20th. However, there are a couple of supervisors, myself included, who have a conflict on that. And so I was going to propose, would it work for everyone if we were to go to June 13th? That does not work. What does work before June 19th? June 6th is probably well, we could do June 6th.
I will not be here on June.
You would not be here on June 6th. Okay. What
Mr.
about-
Chair, we
yeah.
usually, or there have been times over the year that we have skipped the July meeting. We could
Right.
possibly skip the June and
Well,
go with July.
I'd like to have it scheduled in case. What about June 12th? June 12th. All right, let's get a motion before somebody changes their mind. You can't do the 12th. Nothing on the 12th through the 16th. What about, did we try June 5th?
I'm out
You were out the whole week?
the first 3 days,
First 3 days. What about
19th.
the 19th? No, I'm gone that whole week. That entire week, June 19th, and I don't, let's see here. We could do June 28th.
Thanks, Bill.
There we go. How about June 28th? Well, there's a couple supervisors would be out on that one. Would June 28th work? June 28th, huh? Yeah. Does the 28th work? June 28th. Can I get a motion on that? 27th wouldn't help. Couple of us would still be unavailable.
Yes.
28th? Mr. Depot wouldn't be, but we're gonna lose someone. Do you have a substitute in your place? Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Supervisor Poppy makes the motion. Supervisor Dell for June 28th. Wednesday, June 28th. It's summer. I can make a Wednesday work then. And we will do that at our regular time, 6 p.m. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, this is your chance. Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Mullenwider, second Supervisor Langto. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries.